Hey guys, welcome to our review. I'm Mr. P, and today I'm going to be doing a nice little review of the Pioneer For You IPV3 is what I'm doing today. Now, a little bit of information about this. I got this from MidlandsVaping.co.uk from Andy. Thank you very much for that, Andy. And it was $99.99. Now, I did manage to find a little 5% discount code, which saved me a £5, so you know, it's always nice to do that. I do want to say a big thank you to Andy as well for actually bumping this up to a special courier service for me, because I was going away and he got it to me early, so a big thank you for that, Andy. I'm not saying he's going to do it for all of you, but he did do it for me and I want to thank you for that. So IPV3, what have we got? So let me have a look at a little bit information about it. Obviously the price is fairly simple. 150 watt aluminium cased box mod, using e-cig SX330, I believe it is. Let me just double check that for you. Yep, a V30 version 3, 150 watt chip. 1 to 7 volt limit, which is pretty cool, which means if you want to get 150 watts you have to go down low, 0.3 there or thereabouts. It's a Joy 650 battery mod, and I'd definitely make sure you got some 30-35 amps VTC 4.5s or eFests, LGs, so on. Just make sure you're using relevant batteries. Resistances, let me just check it. Atomized resistance from 0.1 up to 3 ohms, so that's pretty cool. You're never going to get anywhere near 150 watts at 3 ohms though, guys, just bear that in mind. Maximum output current of 30 amps, so it's very important that you use the correct batteries here, guys. OLED screen, variable wattage, all that kind of hoo-ha. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to take you down, chuck you on the table and show you it, and then bring it up to me and we'll have a nice little vape on it. Right guys, up close of the IPV3 150 watt beast mod. So first of all, box you get it in, it's a big old box, nothing spondabulous. There's a lot of information on the back, CE markings and so on and so forth. Some of the bump about it, but it's not about the box. So let's just crack it open. Obviously I'm unboxing it just because I wanted to show you what you get with it, but you and I both know that this isn't the first time I've used this. The IPV comes wrapped in that, so that's there just because that's what it comes in. Now in here you get a little, it's a bluey, but it's a Allen key hex bluey. You also get a couple of spare screws. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Camera glare. A couple of spare screws there for your back, and then you get a USB cable which is in here, micro USB, and then the mod itself. Now the USB cable, as you can see, it's in this box because you can't charge it with a USB. It's just for updating the firmware, so that's that really. You don't get the charging cable included, but I will go into that a bit more when we're up top. And you also get a little pamphlet book situation here with some info in there, and some bits and bobs that you may want to know, and obviously how to use it. Okay, so let's crumple that back in there. Let's get rid of this. So to start with, let's have a little look at her. That's the front in here. You've got your silver edge around here, which I think polished aluminium. I think it's absolutely great looking, and I think it's nice because it means you can use them SS and polished SS and stuff, and it doesn't look as obtruse. It blends, you know. So where should we start? We'll start at the bottom. So at the bottom we've got some venting. And we've got the port for our micro USB for updating our firmware. Let's bring it around here. We've got Pioneer logo there, lots of stars and stuff going on there. And here is where you charge it from. Now, from the information I've found, you need a charger. I don't know what type of connection this is. It looks like an old sort of Nokia kind of connection to me, but I don't know what the technical term for the connection is. But you need a charger between 6 and 9 volt direct current. 1 amp is what you're after. I do want to point out, and I will again no doubt, that however that Pioneer you recommend that you do not charge it by this. They still recommend, despite the fact it's there, that you pop the back off, which is that one, and charge your batteries in an external charger. Now their reasoning for recommending that I don't know, but you don't have to tell me twice. I won't ever be charging it through that. Up the top here we have our touch sensor, which I'll get into, and our 510 connection. Now the 510 connection's got air paths cut in case you did have anything that was air fed from the bottom, and then the 510 connection is spring loaded. Okay, let me see if I can just get that on there and give it a push. hopefully you can make that out, spring loaded, so an improvement over the IPV2 where you had to manually screw it in and out, and it does sit flush with the top of the device, so there's no protrusion. You can get everything to sit completely flush down on top of it. Everything I've tried fits on there lovely. The threads are smooth and buttery. Only thing that I did want to point out though is that when you are screwing it down, let me just see if I zoom you in, let me see if that makes a difference. There we go. So when you're screwing it down, obviously your atomizer positive is pushing in here. This has a considerable amount of resistance, so you start to screw it down and you've got to kind of tightly screw with a fair bit of resistance your atomizer on to sit it flush, which isn't a problem because it does do it, but that force upwards tends to put some pressure on the threads. Now it's not, nothing has happened, there's nothing wrong with that, but over time I can imagine that is going to cause your threads in here or on your atomizer to wear. So what I tend to do when I'm taking something off is slightly depress the atomizer down and then unscrew to get as minimal resistance as possible, just to extend the life of that 510, because obviously if that goes, you know, it doesn't matter what else is left, does it, because you can't use it. Now this touch sensor doesn't work. It may be common knowledge, it may not, but it doesn't work. It can be activated and turned on and off like it can in the version 2, the IPV2, but it doesn't actually work on this because it's not connected. Now there will never be an update that makes this work. The reason for this apparently is because a slight bit of V-liquid on there can cause it to activate like it does in the IPV2. I was actually with Worm yesterday and it happened, so because he has got an IPV2. So it's just something to bear in mind, that you buy this knowing that that isn't going to work. Now personally I would never use that, but that being said, if they're going to disable it, I really would have liked them to not have included it at all and have a nice, you know, even finish up here, because now people go, what's that? You go, that's a touch sensor. Oh wicked, yeah, it don't work. So you know, it's a bit of a pain in the arse. Then coming into the front of the mod, we have our fire button, or on and off, and then we've got our up and down buttons here. So I think it is on, there you go, it is on. I'll flip that around to you. Now if I 5 clicks, system off. Fairly simple stuff. 5 clicks, logo, IPV3, and we're back on. Now from here you have got memory modes, so what you do is you push that, so it says M3 there, push that again, M4, M5, M1 and M2. So what these are preset, and you can alter them to your preference. So for example, I use my K-Fun typically around 16 watts, so I go on to M1, push down. That puts me into that mode where I can now adjust it. So what I do, and it does scroll fast if you let it, so that's actually 17 watts, and then you hit the power button to save it. Check out atomizer, that's fine. So what you do is let it go into sleep mode again, push it. Maybe I didn't save it. Get into this, adjust it. It's always when you're on camera that this happens. Always when you're on camera. Maybe now if I fire it. Let's have a look. That's your problem. Right, okay, Mr. P being a cockend, you need to have an ATI attached to it. So back into memory modes. So if I go to move my big dripper, so I'll go to memory mode 3, push down, and say for example I like to run this big dripper at say 60 watts. So let's take her up to 60. Now push the fire button. That's fired up, and then when you go back into your memory, M3 is now at 60 watts. If I scroll around, M3 is at 60 watts. Yeah, so make sure you have an atomizer. To be honest with you, every time I've done that I've had an atomizer on top. It's just I didn't put one on for the close up obviously because it was in the box and bit me in the arse. So yeah, with an ATI on top, it remember it has to pass that current through a coil. Other than that, what else have I got to tell you about this? To lock it, it's fairly simple. Push up and down, push and hold up and down together, and it locks, like so. So now obviously you can't fire the device. Okay, said please, please what? Please unlock. Okay, so there you go. And to unlock it, just hold them two, and it's unlocked. It doesn't take long. It's pretty much a press. But that's really the main features of it. Now the screen itself is fairly simple stuff. You've got the setting there, you've got the volts being applied, the resistance of the atomizer, and then your battery life. So all in all, it's actually very simple to use. Now what I will do is you do get this, like I say, this bluey with it, which is an Allen key or a hex screw if you're American. and to be perfectly honest with you, the thing is absolutely useless, as is all the blues that we tend to get in this, but you do get it with it, and you know, you can make it work. I managed to anyway. Obviously I'm just going to show you the inside. The paint work in there isn't there really, but it's a lacquer. Not that it matters. I do like this little ribbon you get. I know it's just simple, and it's something that's been around in a lot of different products for a very, very long time. But in all honesty, that little ribbon, compared to a lot of devices that don't have it, makes your life so much easier, and that I think is great. Springs in here, these brass springs, they're solid as hell. Now, I'm not going to take apart all the wiring and open it all up, just because I'm not prepared to. As simple as that. But you know, it's all there, and it all is as it should be. So let me just pop that back in there. These are some LG 35 amps that I bought specifically for this, which is worth mentioning, guys. I honestly, for a mod of this power, I'd buy new batteries, because you want them to be draining and charging at the same rate. You don't want one battery that's been sort of spent half of its life in a mech, running 0.5s, being charged every day, and then you've got another battery that's in your Hana, you know, that's been charged every 2 days and it's been running at 12 watts. They're not going to be drained consistently, they're not going to be performing consistently or the same, and it could be, you know, potentially dangerous, so don't do it. I'll buy a couple of new batteries. I think I've got these for about 12 quid, these two batteries, so no problem there. Now you will notice a bit of a wall wound here. I actually dropped it, not from too much of a height, but onto concrete, and we got a scratch. Now I will be honest with you, I've spent the last week and a half with this, rattling around in my pocket with my keys, in my car, you know, it's been through the mills, and that's the only bit of damage that it shows. So the finish compared to the IPV2 is much better. Hopefully you can get an accurate kind of view of this paintwork. It's kind of like a charcoal grey, if you like, very, very dark, as opposed to a black, but it's got a lot of, you know, character to it, and I think it's lovely. But you know, if after a week something's only got that, with me, that's pretty good. And in comparison to IPV2, I mean, funny, I haven't got many like nails because I bite them, but if you do have sharp nails on an IPV2, you can pretty much do that and remove the paint. This does not follow suit. It's built very, very well. What I'm going to do, guys, is come back up to me now. I'm going to have a little vape on it, probably blow a few clouds, and let's continue with the review. Right, guys, welcome back up. So there she is with a big dripper on top. Now let me see if I've got anything I can put into comparison for size for you. Scraper, that's all I've got at the minute. So scraper, that's the size comparison. It is a big mod. It's not as big as I thought it was going to be, if I'm perfectly honest with you, and I have got big hands, so I might make this look slightly smaller than it does to you, but it's not as big as you think it's going to be, in my opinion anyway. So that's that. Let me have a little wait. This is the big dripper, set at 50, so we're not going stupidly high on this, but I probably will do a cloud for you in a minute. So what can we talk about? Well, I've had this thing for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now, and the first thing I do want to mention, because it was going to be a niggle and a bad point of mine, but I want to get it out of the way of now, having actually looked at what you get in the box, because I got it and then went away. The spare screws aren't spare screws, they're replacement screws. These hex heads here are 2, and you've got another 2 in the box. The 2 in the box are not hex heads, they are Phillips heads or posi drives. So big up Pioneer for you, for that, because most companies don't do that. To give us both options is spectacular. Personally, I wouldn't bother with the hex screw, but some people do like them, and you can replace them with your regular old Phillips heads if you want to, in the box included. So big up for that, and I will do that as soon as I finish doing this review. Now, living with the thing, to be honest with you, I want to sort of go into my reasonings for buying this. Now obviously it's 150 watt box, but I don't really need any other reason than that, but believe it or not, that wasn't the reason I bought this. The reason I bought this is, one, because I think it looked cool in the pictures, and I think how cool it does look, and you know how nice it is in the hand actually supersedes how cool I thought it was going to be. But my main reason for buying this is that I'm sick and tired of changing batteries all the time in mechs and la 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 la. Now I thought 2 batteries, if I'm running my cave on around 15-20 watts, there's no reason why this can't last me 2-3 days. That was my motivation for buying it. Anything else is a bonus if you ask me. But that is what it is. Now, you know my kind of review style by now, guys, if you've been watching me, and it is hazardous and sketchy at best. So I'm going to just go over a few of the things that I like, then I'll do my hit list, and then, you know, cover any negatives. So, I mean, firstly, I think I'm very impressed with how well this thing's put together. It feels solid as hell. I don't regret spending 100 quid on this at all whatsoever. Personally, I can guarantee you now, people out there have spent twice that and not been as happy as I am with this. So that's one. Secondly, it's not a clone, which is important to some of you guys. So if you are one of them guys that doesn't like clones or won't buy clones, then you know this is still available to you because it isn't, which is great. The corner's being cut off there. I thought it was a bit strange at first, but it actually does serve a purpose. My little pinky goes on the back one, and I vape away. So that's that. The button push is lovely. Effectively, it's like a blown up Hannah. Someone's taken it on and blown it up because it's very powerful. This thing, 150 watts, is insane. Equally, though, I think it's necessary in this market in now day and age when you've got cloud comps and people trying to blow big clouds and so on and so forth with little or no knowledge of what they're doing. I think this kind of thing is very important. You're not going to exceed your 30 amp limit because it's regulated by the chipset, it's customizable, and I think that factor is very important that certain YouTubers out there, DJ for example, triple stacking fucking 26650s and ridiculous blowing them and all this kind of stuff. It's not going to happen with this, and if something does happen, like a vent does happen with this, it's a lot less likely to happen, put it that way. So I think in that regard, it's necessary for those of you that want to chase clouds, and you can do it with this, and you don't have to have a mech. So, you know, it's safer, which I think is really cool. The mode options on it. Now, as you see in the close-up, I had to put an atomizer on it for it to save, but it's not something I tried to do before, to be honest, to get it to save a mode without an atomizer on top. So a bit of a camera bloopery, but it is what it is. So that's done. The modes I think are actually very nice. It's nice to be able to go click click click, despite the fact this thing does scroll incredibly fast. If you were vaping at 15 watts and wanted to get to 150, it's a much quicker way of doing it even still, which is cool. But not only that, you can have 5 tanks. You don't have to have one at 150, 100, whatever. You could have one at 14, one at 28, one at 32, you know, your drippers 45. You could have whatever you want, and I think that's cool. And the fact you can lock it in. Side note to that though, remove the batteries and it will reset them to 0, or to defaults again to 10, 30, 50, 100 and 150. To be honest with you, I tend to leave them around 10, 30, 50, 100, 150 because that tends to be a nice progression through power. So if I want 15 watts, I go to 10 and up it. If I want 25 watts, I go to 30 and down it. If I want sort of 60, 50 and up, you know, if I want 80, I'll go 100 and then down. It's a nice steps along its power band, if you like, and it makes adjusting stuff pretty easy. So that I do like. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to jump into my 6-point hit list. 5-point hit list for this, and I'm no doubt I'll cover anything else along the way. So first of all is looks. I think it looks stunning. That spoils it a bit for me, if I'm honest with you, and even in the IPV3 where that's functioning, I think it spoils the looks of it. It's not needed, if you ask me. It's just a gimmick, if you like, and one that we don't require. That's just my personal opinion on it. So that spoils the looks a little bit, but all in all, I wasn't expecting to have this polished sort of edge, chamfered edge all the way around both sides in sort of, it's not stainless, it's polished aluminium, but it kind of matches stainless, you know. I wasn't expecting to have that. So equally around the buttons, I think that's wicked. The buttons are nice, they look cool, they'll function well. The screen is DNA styly, I want to say. It's not, it doesn't look anything like a DNA screen, but they followed that kind of style where you've got that information on the screen. The vent holes at the bottom are intrusive, and as is the port for upgrading your firmware. I'm not a big fan of this Pioneer View logo. I've never have been. You know, I'd much rather just have the PR2 there in there without all the stars and the band and everything else. And equally, I'm not a fan of that gaping hole there, because you have to buy a charger for it separately at a cost of around, I've seen about 15 to 25 quid. Now for a charging cable, that's expensive and should be included. Just up the price. China could include it and up the price of a mod by 8 quid, 7 quid, 6, 5 quid. They could up the price of the mod by and include it. I'd have happily paid it. I'm going to give it an 8 for looks, and it's not going to make any sense what I'm about to say. I'm going to give it an 8 for looks as a purely aesthetical, you know, bare bone, breaking down all the things I don't like about it. It's an 8. Does any of that put me off it? No. Would I still say it's one of the best looking mods I own? Yes, I would, despite the fact that a lot of them are 10s. There's just things that niggle, so I've got to knock points off for them, but personally I love the way it looks. I think it's a great looking thing. It's just certain little bits spoil it a little bit. So that's looks, and that makes no sense whatsoever, but yeah, I don't have to. Usability is next. Now, popping the back off to start with, that little Allen key thing, it's useless. Use one of your own Allen keys, it comes off no problem, and then replace it with the Phillips head screws and won't ever be a problem again. You turn it on, you scroll through your modes, you lock it in pushing the down button, then you adjust it, and then you fire away. To be honest with you, it's very easy to use. If you've spent 2 minutes watching this review of the close-up, that I hashed up a little bit, or if you've read the paper that comes with it, it takes no time at all to learn how to use this and use it successfully, comfortably, no problem whatsoever. I'm going to give usability a 10 on this because it is very simple to use, for me anyway. That's my personal view. Let's have a little. Maintenance would be next. Now, there's very little to maintain on this. I mean, in terms of cleaning, it doesn't really need any cleaning. It's going to pick up scratches over time if you use it all the time. That's just how it is. And you know, mine may end up completely polished aluminium if it does get a load of scratches over it. But to be honest with you, I imagine I'm probably going to pop along to J Wraps and buy a wrap for it because they've started doing wraps for them. So that would take out any kind of cleaning. Other than there's no maintenance involved. Cleaning your 510 connection maintenance is a 10. It always is, unless something's drastically wrong. So yeah, maintenance is fairly easy on this. Now, build quality and price. We'll start with build quality first of all. Everything seems to be better than I expected. Now, that's not just because of the price I paid, because I expected, for the price I paid, I'm paying basically for the chip and all that kind of stuff. But compared to the IPV3, I think that thing is shoddily built. I'm not a fan of how it feels. It feels flimsy and cheap and lightweight. I really don't like the IPV2. I think it serves a purpose, but I'll take a Hana clone all day long over an IPV2. I don't care about extra 20 watts because the build quality for me is just subpar. So when I bought this thinking it's about the dual batteries and about the chip for me, so I can suffer that same kind of build quality again. I am incredibly pleasantly surprised. It's a lovely thing. It's built very well. It's solid. The buttons feel as they should do, with the exception of touch sensor. It doesn't work, obviously. It doesn't. The paintwork, as I said in the close-up, is so much better than the IPV2, and in fact a lot of them, including the Hana, a lot of other mods out there. I think that's spectacular. The build quality, other than that, I mean, insides, like what's integrated in there, is everything's fine. There's a bit of glue going on, but other than that, it's pretty sweet. I'm going to give it a 10. I think it's a great looking thing. I think it's built incredibly well, so it's going to be a 10 for build quality. Now, price, it's 100 quid. Now, those of you that know me know I'm not a big fan of shelling out loads of money for mods and atties, especially this close to Christmas. 100 quid delivered this cost me, and it would cost you the same if you found that discount code online. It's not hard to find. Personally, I think it's a bargain. I really do. With the Zenith, not Zenith, sorry, with the my dear God, I've gone completely mind blank. With the Hana clones, with the ZNAs, that's what, ZNA, with the ZNA clones, with them popping at around 60 to 70 quid, with the IPV2s costing 60 odd quid, this is a bargain. The build quality is amazing for me. I think it performs spectacularly. The numbers that it says it's hit, it does hit them. The price is a 10. I don't care. It's worth 100 quid to me. It's worth more than 100 quid to me. And when you factor in how well it's built, I'd pay it again in a heartbeat. So yes, the price and versus build quality is a 10. It's a 10 across the board for that. Now overall is what's next. Everything about it is good, with the exception of a couple of things. There are niggles to me, and they are important. I think, you know, the touch sensor not working. A lot of people are going to buy it thinking it does and be disappointed, and I think that's bad. That's you know, disappointing to me, to be honest with you. Not that I'd ever use the bloody thing, I wouldn't, but I should be able to when it's advertised with one. I mean, it's not advertised with one on MidlandsVaping, but the early releases that I read were advertised with it, and you know, it's on the top. You get the impression it's going to have it, don't you? So I would maybe specify that it's not working. You know, that's one thing. The charging situation. Now, the fact the cable isn't included is bad enough, but then the fact that they're expensive to buy is another thing. And then on top of that, Pioneer for you recommend that you don't use one anyway. What is the fucking point of that? Why put a hole in the box, don't include the charger that fits in it, and then for those that are prepared to pay the money for it, recommend that they don't use it? Seems ridiculous to me. So no, I don't think that that's as it should be at all, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm not happy about that. From a, you know, a customer's point of view and a reviewer's point of view, that's not really on, is it? So that's bad. Everything else about this is brilliant. There's nothing else. Performance wise, there's nothing. Build wise, there's nothing. And to be honest with you, the charging thing and I don't care about that. I don't. When you weigh it up against everything else that this does for me in my life, which is a long battery life, I've got the ability to hit loads and loads of different power bands if I want to. I can go from a K-Fun to a Mutation X and ramp it to 150 watts and have no issues whatsoever. I don't care. Overall's a 10. It is. Just buy it knowing that these things are an issue with it potentially for you. Now I did say blow cloud. This is a Mutation X. I've got it at 0.1 ohms. It's a dual parallel build. I'm running 125 watts just purely because I can't push it to 150 because my batteries are, you know, only about 2/3 full. I did say I'd blow a cloud or two. So yeah, this is 6 milligrams. It's going to kick my ass, but it's what I had to hand. It was high VG, so we'll have a go. Still tastes good though. That's Timo's. That's Hodge's homebrew, guys. If you wanted to go and have a go. Whew, it is intense. Yeah, no, I do. I think this thing is well worth the 100 quid, guys, if you're in the market for this kind of mod. I know you've got the new Axis coming out. Andy at MidlandsVaping said, you know, would you not think about that? And I did, but it's not as capable as hitting as much power as this. Close, but not as much. And to be honest with you, the money, the extra twice the price, it's just not worth it for me. But that is worth 100 quid of my money all day long. I definitely recommend it, guys, and hopefully Pioneer, if you keep up with this kind of build quality and bring out some cheaper devices that are not as powerful but to that kind of quality, that would be awesome. You know, we'll see what happens though, we don't know, do we? Other than that, guys, I'm done here. I just want to say thank you to the guys at MidlandsVaping, especially Andy, for sending this down to me very quickly and speedily, and also thank you to all of you guys for watching. So, I've been Mr. P, and I shall see you soon.